Goes to show how little attention I actually show seafaring stuff and don't starve together, as I didn't even know this update was even a thing until 2 frickin' minutes ago. But that being said, it is in beta, so everything you're about to see is very subject to change, and considering that certain mechanics, mobs, and items are completely worthless as they stand, I imagine massive change will come full release. But without further ado, let's hook, line, and ink it up. First, let's address the change that I find myself both agreeing with and yet despise completely. The change from fish to freshwater fish. Sure, the stats are the same, but now freshwater fishies do not stack, so a once straightforward task now requires some planning to save your inventory. They also cannot be stored within fridges, even though their past selves could be, and if this is intentional, then we've got ourselves some problems, cause even still, the salt box is out of the question, and even the new tin fishing bin will be freshwatered out as well. We'll obviously discuss this new storage container soon enough, but this truly is the one that makes the least sense to me in context. But it gets even worse, for work players at least. Without stacking, what once needed but 3 slots now requires 5 when it comes to craftsmerm houses. And seeing as you can't even stack them within the royalty kit itself, you need to place them one by one. Is this all manageable? Yes, certainly. Unnecessarily tedious though, abso-frickin-lutely. I would have to think that these mechanics will be tweaked come the full launch. But of course, the bulk of the update, the new fishing mechanics. And thankfully, if you're looking to start and explore said mechanics, it's only locked behind a science machine and a simple recipe. So get to it. But you might be thinking, so just cast and go, right? Them fishies aren't gonna know what's gonna hit them. Were it so easy, folks? Equip the new rod to see 2 additional slots simply waiting for you to fill them up, and we'll get to that. But yes, as far as I can tell, ain't no fish biting unless you have something there at least. But here's the issue. The new tackle receptacle may also be just behind a science machine, with driftwood and a doodad being simple enough. But what the heck is that? Well, friends, spoiled fish has returned and is a must if we must up our fishing game. The issue stems from spoiled fish only being obtainable via the new fish, not our freshwater ones. So if that is the case, how in the world can we do anything then? Because it sounds like we're stuck here. Nonsense. There's a simple solution, my friends. Berries and seeds can serve as minimalist bait, while twigs can be the same for lures. So have at it, because as we'll see later, that is really all you need. And as for the new fishing itself, it's quite simple and intuitive, which is a massive bonus. I was so worried it'd be stupidly complex for whatever reason, but truly, once a fish bites, you'll have to watch it as it either tries to fight ya or is surrendering to your will. When it's swimming away from you, you can either hold right click or just do nothing at all. But once it's not fighting you, you gotta hammer the right click button home to reel that sucker in. Once the fish gets close enough, the game will take over and it will pop it out of the water for ya. It's very nice, but do note that your bait will be used up following a catch, if it's a berry or seed, that is. And another thing to note, moving during this time will cancel the reeling process and has a chance to cost both your lure and your bait, but usually it is just the latter. So be careful nonetheless. And simply losing a fish off the line entirely will do the same pretty much every single time, no matter which types you're using. Now, these new fish bring plenty of new for sure, but my goodness do they spoil very quickly, so you best preserve them when and if you can. But unfortunately, our ice boxes are off the frickin' table, unless of course you murder them into fish meat first. But the same could be said of our other option, salt boxes. So, if these two are off the table, is there any way to keep our catches fresh while we're out on the water for a while? Sure is. say hello to that very same tin fishing bin we mentioned earlier. A new craft under the Seafaring tab. It may have a somewhat strange recipe to be honest, but this thing is awesome. It not only holds 12 fish in total, but actually refreshes their spoilage when they're in one. You can have a nearly spoiled fish all the way in the red. Toss it into one of these suckers, and in a couple days, you can have a fully fresh fish ready to go. That is incredible. As for the new fish themselves, though, there are 10 of the scaly suckers, 5 small types, and 5 large ones. The former category is comprised of runty guppies, needle-nosed squirts, popper fish, smolt fries, and bitty baitfish. I can confirm that all 5 of them can be encountered and thus caught without ever stepping foot off the mainland. So it appears that they all prefer the waters of the shallow coasts. Furthermore, each type can be caught with but a twig lure and those simple baits we discussed prior. There is no need to use anything else beyond the efficiency side of things. Plus, their specific affinities to time of day seems to be in question, if they even have any to be honest, but to me, they seem pretty meaningless currently. Although what has been said is true, I have also seen small fish in deeper water, so perhaps their spawning locations are indeed random. But I have noticed that once you find a spawn location, you can just keep returning for more of the same fish. One last thing, all these fish here, and the ones to follow, will do nothing for you until you murder them for fish meat. So, there you go. The larger fish of the sea are as follows: the mudfish, deep bass, dandelion fish, black catfish, and the corn cod. All prefer the deeper waters, and thankfully now we can actually more easily determine the depth of the sea via its color. So keep a lookout. Darker is deeper. And again, these fish do nothing for you unless you fully kill them into meat. And as far as I can tell, they too have random spawn locations out on the water. Although, I will say that I have found numerous types at once in and around the shoals of the sea. So, I guess we can use these as our fishing grounds, but I wouldn't fully count on that. Also, I can 100% confirm that yes, you can absolutely still catch these larger fish with just the berry/seed and twig lure method. I highly doubt that's intentional, but it does make the next segment rather odd. But do know that the larger fish are just simply harder to catch in general, and harder may not actually be the right word there. Tedious. Tedious is the word I would use, as it sometimes took me 2 full minutes to reel a single fish in. Now, the bobbers, floats, spinners, and spoons. As we've said, they're craftable via the tackle receptacle. But as we've discovered, it might not even frickin' matter. Every single fish I just mentioned was caught with a twig and a berry. I didn't use anything else. Again, in no way is this intentional, and I fully anticipate a change come the 4 release. But don't fret, every craft is still fairly easy actually. And oh yeah, if you are like me, you may look and think that the labels such as sunrise, dusky, and night flyer would apply to things like specific fish during these times of day, but no. It doesn't look that way quite yet, because supposedly they are meant to be more efficient during their specific times, but I've proven that that doesn't matter, so yeah. I will say, however, that the best combo for me was truly the Crimson Quill Float and the Sunrise Spoon, no matter the time of day or fish. When I used them together, I could catch every fish, and did so rather quickly. And it is nice not using berries or seeds, because it means less is needed to keep on fishing over and over and over again. But speaking of, how do we even get some of these add-ons to begin with? Well, every bird has a 1% chance of dropping an advert that you can then give to the receptacle in order to unlock their specific quill float, while a moose goose or malbatross kill will result in a guaranteed advert for their specific ones. It's kind of annoying, but certainly unnecessary as it stands. So let's just hope that when it is necessary, that it isn't kind of annoying, if you know what I mean. But recall how I said how these new fish were pretty darn aren't worthless by their lonesome, well, that's still 100% true. But we can have a little fun with another new structure, the fish scale-o-matic. With these, we can place our new scaly friends within them to reveal how much they weigh. Furthermore, upon examining them, you'll read who caught the beast, and there's unique dialogue per character following. As far as I can tell, there's no way to retrieve the fish again apart from hammering the entire thing, but it's kinda neat, I guess. However, if you don't got the materials to show them off, don't worry, the new pocket scale has got you covered there. This thing does exactly what you think it does. Weighs your fish without the extravagance of a scale-o-matic. Funny enough, if you mouse the fish over the item, it doesn't count for one of its 100 uses. But mouse the scale over a fish, and it will count that. That will certainly be altered come launch. It's another cool thing, I guess, if you're into this sort of thing. But now, this is neat. Narwhals. They are a new sea-based mob that will remain non-hostile to the player until attacked, and will instead hunt fish in the meantime. Do attack them to note the 1,000 health on the unicorn of the sea, which is nothing to simply ignore. They ain't bosses, but they will give you a challenge. They have a leaping attack at range that will cause waves to hit your boat, pushing said boat and soaking you up. They have a horn attack where they dive under your boats and puncture holes within them. It's not great, but still manageable. And finally, just mine their damage at what appears to be 50 per hit. Uniquely, you can actually hit their horns during their little puncture attack in order to not only stop it, but to nab the horn yourself. Narwhals are a very cool mob that is likely best handled via ranged weaponry, mind you. Narwhals drop that fish meat we keep mentioning, and it's actually the equivalent of fish steaks from Shipwrecked in terms of stat regen, and that is freaking amazing. This meat comes from all our new fishes as well, mind you, apart from freshwater fish, and is far better off raw than cooked, at least for now. But what's the deal with the horn here? Well, it ain't exactly a weapon, but if you want something that deals 10 damage a hit consistently without ever breaking on ya, then have fun, I guess. However, its true purpose is to summon the waves. With 10 uses in total, we can play the horn when moused over water to have 2 waves form that can push many floating objects in any given direction. It doesn't appear to cause damage, and the waves don't last that long, so I'm not entirely convinced of its overall potential, but hey, it is something new. But the last newly added mob, the fantastic looking Skitter squid. These creatures are also non-hostile initially and choose rather to hunt fish just like the narwhals. They are fast and glowy, so they're both easy to miss but easily recognizable. However, it seems that they only come out during or close to new or full moons and during dusk time. Whatever the case may be, they can be pretty mean SOBs, as they have an ink attack that will blind you for a second or two upon getting hit by it, can actually hop up on our boats and even land, have 100 health, and this unique spinning attack that can hit upwards of 3 times, I believe. Upon death, they will drop a monster meat, but also have a 33% chance at dropping a light bulb too, which is very cool. Last but not least, of course, the 3 new recipes, starting with Surf and Turf, the absolute classic. Whipped up via 2 fish meat and 2 monster meat, or 3 fish morsels and 1 monster meat if you wish. Surf and Turf restores nearly 40 hunger, 33 sanity, and 60 health a pop. It's the go-to for shipwreck players, and now it is washed up on the shores of Don't Starve Together, and it's amazing. California rolls have also found their way onto our dinner plates, and at the 37.5 hunger, 10 sanity, and 20 health each, and the simple recipe to boot of 2 fish morsels and 2 kelfons, I would say that they are worth keeping in mind. They're not the greatest, but they are easy to come by, mind you. And finally, seafood gumbo. It took a while for me to find it, but an easy recipe for it is 2 eels from the caves and 2 fish morsels from our freshwater fish. Honestly, with that recipe in mind, gumbo may be the best way to go when it comes to healing now. But there you have it, everyone. Everything I have found and tested within the new beta update, hook, line, and inker. I'm sure there's some things missing, and I'm sure one or two things that may have been mentioned are a little off. But remember now, be civil about it. This is a new update for all of us here, so let us all come together to help one another. But I must say one thing. What is the point of all this? I mean, I love the new changes, folks. I really do. And it's still in beta, but let's be real here. Literally nothing that we showcased today is needed. You don't need to do it to survive, but it's still kind of neat. Thanks for watching, folks. Well wishes to all. Have fun catching them fishies, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.